Hello and welcome to CBA's News in Brief, broadcasting to you from Hargeisa. My name is Yunis Dekow. Somaliland's opposition parties and the government both accepted the recommendations of the mediation committee announced on Monday. The opposition parties Aadan Yabaal welcomed and accepted the recommendations of the committee wholeheartedly. In a joint press conference, the chairman of Wadani Party, Abdurrahman Mohammed Abdullahi Arro, said they jointly accepted the recommendations of the committee that took upon itself to break the deadlock. Abdurrahman Arro said they have accepted the proposal of the committee with respect to the public interest, the unity of Somaliland people, and the advancement of the nation's democratization process. Meanwhile, the government has also welcomed the proposals of the mediation committee, although little more ambiguously. The Interior Minister Mohammed Kahin Ahmed said the government fully accepts the advice of the committee and their recommendations adopted through the legal procedures. The mediation committee recommended the dismissal of the controversial Electoral Commission, which was sworn in just last month. It further called for reinstating the previous Electoral Commission, which was not less controversial than its successor. Wadani Party had boycotted the previous Electoral Commission back in 2018 and insisted on its dismissal, beginning a year-long political deadlock and elections delay. Traditional and political leaders in Awdal region have condemned the detention of a traditional leader who opposed government plans of mining in the area. The supreme traditional leader of Awdal region condemned the detention of Sultan Abshir by Somaliland authorities in Borama. In a video recorded on a phone, Ugas Abdirashid Ugas Roble regretted that Sultan Abshir, one of the traditional leaders of Awdal region, was detained for expressing his views. He said this was part of an ongoing onslaught on the people of the coastal areas of Awdal region. Sultan Mohammed Abshir Duale was taken into custody in Boorama on Sunday morning after opposing mining activities planned in the region. Dozens of his supporters took to the streets in Boorama to protest his detention. The police swiftly broke up the demonstration using live bullets. Reports indicate that one protester was injured in the confrontation. The chairman of Wadani Party in Awdal region condemned the detention of the traditional leader. Mohammed Adan Sultan considered it an attempt to intimidate people into silence. Mohammed Adan Sultan said Sultan Abshir was arrested for opposing a project led by the Ministry of Mining that entailed environmental degradation. Somaliland government, neither in Hargeisa nor in Borama, have commented on the issue. A three-day global gathering aimed at transforming the way the world leaders respond to refugee situations geared for Day 2 in Geneva today. The first ever Global Refugee Forum brings together refugees, head of states and governments, UN leaders, international institutions, development organizations, business leaders and society representatives, among others, at the Palais des Nations at the home of the United Nations office at Geneva. UNHCR is co-hosting the forum together with Switzerland, and it's being convened by Costa Rica, Ethiopia, Germany, Pakistan and Turkey. The aim of the forum is to generate new approaches and long-term commitments from a variety of actors to help refugees and communities in which they live. Worldwide, over 70 million people are displaced by war, conflict and persecution. More than 25 million of them are refugees, having fled across international borders and unable to return to their homes. The contributions made at the forum are expected to include financial, technical, and changes to enable greater inclusion of refugees into societies, resettlement places, and the safe return for refugees as part of the solutions. Meanwhile, Somali Prime Minister Hassan Ali Khaire held talks with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan in the sidelines of the Geneva Convention. Key cabinet members from both sides attended the high-level meeting in the Swiss capital. The two discussed ways to enhance bilateral diplomatic engagement and boost trade economic cooperation between the two friendly states to improve Somalia's growing economy. Prime Minister Khaire and President Erdogan joined other world leaders in Geneva for the Global Refugee Forum. Senior Somali military commanders, led by the commander of the National Infantry Army, General Abdulhamid Mohammed Dirir, has succeeded in stopping a bloody war between two clan militias that took place in Tawfiq and Afbarwaqo districts in Mudug region of Somalia. Officials who have been working on the reconciliation efforts with the two neighboring brotherly clans finally succeeded in signing the peace agreement between the two sides. Elders from both parties have unanimously agreed that there will be no further conflict between the two brothers and signed ceasefire and a peace agreement. 3 signatories of traditional leaders from each side have penned the agreement in front of the federal delegates. The two clans had clashes for weeks and the death toll is not accounted for as they were fighting in rural regions in Mudug. The Somalia military apparatus played a crucial role in securing peace in the conflict. And passenger passes flying routes mapped out as terror zones will not be allowed to travel without a police escort. The affected routes are notorious Wajir Mandera route, Garissa Huluko, Garissa Liboy and Garissa Wajir roads. The declaration was made by the Regional Commissioner of Northern Kenya, Mohammed Biri, on Saturday in Garissa, barely a week after 11 passengers were killed by Al-Shabaab militants aboard a Medina bus en route to Mandera from the capital, Nairobi. He similarly ordered all security units to enforce the directive. Despite several such directives in the past, bus managers have severely complained of harassments, frustrations, and extortion by the escort who demand that the buses adhere to their commands. 2 people were last week arrested in connection with the Friday bus attack, where 11 people lost their lives in the Al-Shabaab attack. 7 police officers returning from leave were among the 11 people killed on Friday evening by a contingent of Al-Shabaab militants who waylaid a bus heading to Mandera at Wargadud village in Wajir County. The ill-fated bus, Medina bus, was attacked by at least 7 militants who targeted non-local passengers. Al-Shabaab says its attacks are revenging for Kenyan troops stationed inside Somalia. In June, it took responsibility for a roadside bomb attack in Kenya's Wajir County that killed at least 8 people. And that's all we have for you on our news brief. Thank you for joining us. My name is Yunis Dekow. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.